Welcome to the Hitting the Curbs podcast, where we're going to talk about the greatest day or days in motorsports with NASCAR, the Coke 600, F1, and the Monaco GP, and then rounding us off with the Indianapolis 500. And then go over the points, which have changed a lot from last week. But to start, the Coke 600 got off to a late start, having a delay due to rain. I was there personally, and it was really cold. It was about 50 degrees. But it got moved to Monday, where it finally went underway at 3 o'clock, and we saw a lot of action. Starting with the action of the weekend, I think everyone wants to talk about, so let's get right into it. Chase Elliott versus Denny Hamlin. We've seen this before, and this leads to a suspension by Chase Elliott. But first, let's talk about the incident. Now, I know in our notes I put Chase versus Elliott. It is actually Denny versus Elliott. But Chase Elliott hits the wall. Denny Hamlin gives him just enough room for him to stay off the wall that they didn't touch. But Chase Elliott went the wall, didn't like it. Turned left, hooked Denny Hamlin to the dogleg, just like Wallace did last season to Larson. Got the same suspension as Bubba from last season, a one-race suspension. But should there have been more? Was the incident too much? Well, what do you think?
I think it's justified. I think a one-race suspension is very much necessary. I think NASCAR made the right decision. I think they, considering that they had something like this at Vegas last year in the playoffs, I think the one-race suspension for Chase Elliott is correct. I don't think he needs any more, any less, because now definitely it's going to make it even harder for him to get into playoffs. But especially with evidence, I think NASCAR made the right decision to give him a hefty penalty. What do you think, Hector?
I think the penalty is justified. I think the actions were not justified. When you get walled, you tell them something after the race, you beat the crap out of them, but you don't right hook someone into the wall. Like, I can understand turning them on the backstretch towards the inside wall, but even then, that's a stretch. I just think Elliott overreacted just like Bubba did, and he got the same penalty that Bubba did, and I'm perfectly fine with that. He already got the playoff waiver. It was announced not long ago. So I think the whole incident will be put in the past, and maybe Denny will get payback. I don't know. If I was Denny, I'd just drop it. Just let it be, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But no, honestly, if I was Denny, I would go out and win this week. If you win this week, that just shows Elliott a lot more. But yeah, I think the whole incident is just kind of stupid.
Yeah, I mean, just fight after the race. I think that, you know, reckon all these perfectly good race cars, especially for something as dumb as just simple retaliation. I mean, that should just be settled on pit road after the race, whether it's a talk or a fight. I mean, these teams put a lot of time and effort into making all these cars ready every single week, and just to destroy them like that for no reason, that was just plain stupid. I'm happy NASCAR is starting to actually set precedent again, with having, you know, similar situation in Las Vegas, and they're giving the pretty much the same penalty they gave to Bubba. I'm happy for it. Just wish they'd continue, you know, having these precedents and having consistency when drivers intentionally wreck each other and stuff.
And I do have to agree with you. It's nice actually seeing NASCAR be consistent for once, because they're really not consistent all the time. Now, personally, I think penalties should be more, and I know they're just trying to, you know, set the precedent for the Wallace incident. But Matt Kenseth got a 3-race suspension for the rest of the season in 2015 for putting Logano into the wall. Now, I think that is not as bad Although, playoff wise, it is bad, but as of intentionally wrecking someone, it's not as bad as it would be, in Wallace's case or in Elliott's case, because it's at lower speeds, and you wouldn't really risk the driver as much doing it. But I know it did have more implications because Logano would have been locked into the playoffs. But in my eyes, I think it honestly should just be a 3-race suspension. And if you have a win, you lose your playoff eligibility. You got to put the hammer down, to just intentionally turning people in the dog leg. Because in the past we've had I forgot who it was, but I know we had a death at Charlotte.
Blaze Alexander.
That was an accident, but it did happen in the same scenario. We can't just be doing that. It's happened both instances with Wallace and Elliott have happened less than a year, and we just can't be doing that stuff. So I think we got to kind of enforce the penalty more, because in Elliott's case, he can still win and he's in. Well, what did he learn from the suspension? I wouldn't say anything. Let's say someone with a win already did it. What's going to affect them? They're already locked in. Well, and without the top 30 points rule, they could get suspended. Every other race if they turn someone in that dangerous manner every other race. I mean, there's really nothing that suspension is helping, in my opinion. While since Elliott isn't locked in and he's really at a points deficit because he was on pace to get in 5 points, it's going to hurt him. But if this was with anyone with a win, then it wouldn't affect them at all. But what's your guys' take on that?
No, I agree. I agree. It should be more than now looking back on it, it should be more than a 1-race suspension. Because Chase Elliott, yeah, he's in a Hendrick Motorsports car. Yeah, he's easily the best equipment in the field. And Chase Elliott, he can easily come back from the suspension and win next week at Sonoma. That's justified. He's a road course ringer. He can very easily get himself back into the playoffs. But for a right hook at Charlotte and what looked to be very, very intentional by the SMT data, and then the stunt he pulled during his interview saying, "Well, I couldn't drive it anymore once I hit that wall." Yes, you can. If that car is anything like iRacing at all, just touching the wall like that doesn't break a toe link. Maybe it bends one, but you shouldn't. Your car shouldn't just immediately turn left or turn dead left, right?
Race.
Yeah,
he finished fourth.
Exactly. Tyler Reddick hit the wall probably harder than Chase Elliott did, and Tyler Reddick was up there the whole race and fighting for the win. So Chase Elliott made a stupid move. It was a stupid move that he could have easily came back from. I just don't get it. It was so early in the race. It's a long race. It's not a sprint. It's a kind of a marathon. So I don't understand why Chase Elliott would just ruin his race that quickly, knowing by even right hooking someone into the fence, you're going to get caught up into it.
I would also like to add to that. I'm pretty sure Chase Elliott, he drove his car all the way around the track too, before going to pit road and getting out. So yeah, he was definitely lying through his teeth there. And plus, he was being really quiet, trying to avoid any confrontation. And also, I think that in terms of penalties like this, I think it should affect you more in the playoffs, because that's way more closer to the championship. And something like a non-playoff driver wrecking a playoff driver, yeah, they should get the same penalty. But if it's like a playoff driver wrecking a playoff driver, they should get this 1-race suspension. Also, probably a points thing as well. I'd say in the playoffs we should be considering points in as well. But I don't know, for a regular season, I think 1 race is good enough, because a driver is gonna see their car race the next week, and it's gonna hurt them watching that next race, seeing their car being driven by someone else. And
yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree with that statement. Chase Elliott's gonna really think at home in Charlotte Why did I right hook Denny Hamlin last week? I could be racing and enjoying St. Louis, beautiful St. Louis, but instead I'm at home or at the race shop.
Yeah.
Helping Corey LaJoie try to win a race, I mean,
don't miss his opportunity to see Kenny Wallace, man. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he misses. Yeah, the GOAT, Kenny Wallace. We should get Kenny on the pod.
Yeah, I don't think we can get that, but I think this is my take on what the penalty should be for that one. And I think it should be deferred at like kind of where you do it. Now I'm not sure how they're going to force that, but like if you do it at a road course, like just intentionally dump them in the grass. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It could change, but I think like from the 2 incidents we've already seen of this intentionally wrecking, I think it should be a 3-race suspension. I think we give them a 35 playoff point penalty. Don't do this again.
That's large.
That's a little much.
That's large, dog.
That's a whole race, dude.
No.
That's a whole couple races, dog.
You get 5 playoff points for win. So
that's 5 races.
That's
sweeping.
7.
So
7 races worth of sweeping.
Since it's a 3-race suspension, 5 per race.
15 playoff
15 playoff points.
Playoff points.
They'll still probably be in the negatives, but it's more manageable.
Because it's nothing compared to what we saw Chase Briscoe. But we'll get into that later. But that's just my take on it. But with that said, let's move on to the other boxing match this week, and it was on pit road. Amarola versus Bubba Wallace under the rain delay. Throwing haymakers, Amarola got reach. But yeah, it looked like an incident that was kind of all Bubba's fault. Bubba overreacted, like we've seen him overreact in the past.
Michigan,
a lot of races.
Vegas
through the bird the second week in a row, and yeah. So, what are your guys' opinions about what we saw between Amarola and Bubba Wallace?
Oh, I mean, there's no penalties warranted. They didn't really throw many haymakers, so I mean, there really shouldn't be a penalty warranted. It was just like, you did this to me. I'm gonna talk to you about it. We're gonna exchange some words, and then after this rain delay, we're gonna go forget about it and race like men. Yeah. And that's what they did.
Plus, they didn't total each other's cars, so I say it's even better.
Yeah.
I'll give them a 5-point bonus just for not wrecking tearing each other's cars up. And I'm just joking there, but it's definitely way better to see that. And plus, they raced like men. They didn't really have much confrontation. After the rain delay, I fully support this. This is great. This is definitely good to see. Good to see a lot of maturity.
It's good that they got to talk it out during the rain delay. They probably got what they needed off of their chest. They probably probably shook each other's hands and said good luck and went back out there. I don't see an issue with the confrontation with Almirola and Bubba. At least it wasn't on track like Hamlin's and Elliott's where it was. At least it didn't cause someone's car to get sent into a wall at 180. I mean, that's always the best, right?
Yep. I think, I think this is how you should settle incidents. I know people don't want to. A lot of us want to see fighting, but that's not always the best way to settle incidents. Currently, they're both at a test in Michigan right now, so that maybe, I don't know, maybe they're gonna have their own private boxing match in the private test. But we'll see how this develops going into the weeks. But I just think Bubba in my opinion, overreacting over the past few weeks. I know the radio message and got over North Wilkesboro, that was horrible, but I don't think you should, kind of flip the middle finger on camera. It was sly, but I still think that's appropriate. You have younger viewers watching. That's what NASCAR is trying to target a NASCAR too nowadays. But with that said, I wouldn't really worry about it between the two, but it's just been overshadowing, 23XI having 2 top 5s in a row. But that's not what people are talking about. They're mostly talking about Bubba and Amarola or Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin. So any news coming out of 23XI has lately been poor news.
Yeah, and I mean they had an amazing race in the Coke 600.
Mm-hmm.
Both cars finishing top 5. That was their first time ever. I feel like they're finally starting to get in that rhythm where like Reddick and Bubba can start working together how they need to work together, because we saw them at the start of the season. There wasn't much chemistry. In all honesty, there wasn't much chemistry between them. And Reddick had a terrible start to the season. We all know that. So I'm just really happy to see them working together. Even if I don't like Bubba, I like the teamwork. I like the friendship. I want things to be, fun for the drivers. And it looks like it's pretty fun over there right now. And their schemes are, uh, to keep this simple, the schemes at 23XI are like a Transformers movie. It's either very good or the worst thing you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I know their baby blue car this week.
I like that UNC car though. Though a lot of people didn't, I liked
I
it.
hated it.
I liked it. I'm not gonna lie, that looked good with the Jordan logo on it. I liked it. Unpopular opinion. I liked it.
But let's talk about, the winner, Ryan Blaney, breaking his, if I'm not mistaken, 59 race winless streak. I've seen his last 2 wins, surprisingly enough, in person. While I did have to leave the Cook 600 midway, Blaney was dominating before that, and he was the best car all night. So it's fine. I'm happy to see him win, and it's really flipping the playoff field on its head from last season because, Stenhouse, Truex, Blaney, guys who didn't win last season have been out winning. And Briscoe, as we talk later, just got that penalty. He won last season. Wallace is in. He didn't win last season. The 18 car, which is now the rebranded 54, is out the playoffs. So it should be really interesting how this shapes up. And again, are we going to see more than 16 winners? We currently have 10. So
How many races went in are we?
Just after halfway, 14 out of 26.
Yeah, I do not think. I don't think we see the same kind of scenario that we saw last year, that where it was like 2 spots left at Daytona or whatever, 1 spot left at Daytona, and Austin Dillon needed to win to get in and stuff like that. I don't think we'll see that again, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have like 15 winners with maybe 1 spot left open, and then someone it's a repeat winner at Daytona, and then the 16th guy just gets in.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be 14 winners personally. But yeah, going back to what Jeffrey said, something really cool is how Blaney and Truex turned their seasons around from last year compared to this year. Now Blaney's second in points. Truex is, I think he's third, fourth, somewhere around there.
Something like that.
Yeah, like Truex and Blaney are having amazing seasons, and I'm here for it. I want to see them do everything that they can to make up for how last season went, because that was painful as a Truex and Blaney fan, especially as a Truex fan.
It's nice
you can't be rooting for a Toyota and a Ford. That's illegal.
Blaney's the only Ford I root for consistently.
Okay.
And our next piece of news, Briscoe's penalty. So, Hector, you want to dive more into the big penalty for Stuart Haas Racing?
Yeah, so Chase Briscoe, yesterday it was announced that he had a 120-point penalty, 25 playoff points, $250,000 fine, and that's it. So then the crew chief is suspended for 6 races. So that's pretty big.
And they're not appealing.
Yeah, they're not appealing it because they know that they made a mistake. And to go into detail with it, it was NASCAR found a counterfeit part in the underwing of the car. Basically, counterfeit money is illegal. You can't make your own money. You can't counterfeit anything.
I do.
That's illegal. You do it on GTA, Ryan.
I know.
And I knew you were going.
Yeah, that's a great business plan.
But when you counterfeit something, that is extremely illegal. And basically, they made their own part. They went against the rules. And originally, they were going to use it for testing or something like that. They were not going to actually take it out on a race because it's legal to make your own parts if you're just going to test them. Well, it's not legal, but it's a loophole. So they were just going to do that. They were going to abuse that loophole, test with their own parts, because the parts were nearly exact to what NASCAR had given them, but it was made by them, meaning that it's illegal. So yeah, it's a huge penalty. The team themselves forgot to take the part out of the car when they got to the race. I
They still ran
believe,
30th.
yeah, I believe it was in for the last two races. I don't know though, but yeah, basically illegal part made by the team, not made by the manufacturer, was put on a race car when it shouldn't have, and one of the biggest penalties in NASCAR history was given, and that's just insane to think about.
I have to agree with you, and this is this is the first instance of counterfeiting. So I mean, I didn't think a team would do this, but like they're acting like it was an accident. I don't know how you can actually counterfeit a part. So that's
Well,
what we're gonna say.
I read something about how it was a quality control issue and how they had the part around, but they accidentally put it in when they were just making it as like an example piece for, I don't know, maybe a show car or whatever. But yeah. Anyways, you can continue. I just wanted to put that note in.
But yeah, so are we gonna see more teams do this? I'm happy teams aren't appealing and actually accepting their penalties. Hendrick accepted the suspension for Chase Elliott, and Stuart Haas isn't trying to switch things around like we've seen Hendrick Motorsports did when they even admitting to changing the part. So it's good to see teams actually accepting their penalties. And with that said, let's move on to the points. So um, the regular season points battle is an interesting one with the top six separated by only 17 points, just past the halfway mark. I'm gonna list off the top six in points for you. So your points leader by 1 point is Ross Chastain. Didn't have the best Coca-Cola 600, and your winner Ryan Blaney is only 1 point behind him. 4 points behind Blaney, 4 points behind Chastain is Byron Harvick. We talked about Stuart Haas Racing not being that good, but Kevin Harvick has been lights out all season and has consistently stayed inside the top five. Well, he is 8 back. Mark Truex Jr. Had a nice third place finish and finished inside the stage points, all but stage two, and he's only minus 13. And Christopher Bell is only minus 17 in sixth. Tyler Reddick is seventh, moved up 3 spots, minus 37. Denny Hamlin minus 46. Keselowski and Busch minus 52 and minus 54. If you want to see all the guys who are only within a race distance of the points leader, but it is action packed to say the least. And some people are going to say, "Oh, this is why we should have the Winston format." But I think this is going to make a very interesting regular season battle with three of these guys, one race apart, not having a win, needing these playoff points. So, what do you guys think about this?
Regular season points battle is heating up. It's looking great. I mean, we have multiple drivers in the shot for the regular season championship, and it's literally separated by one singular point right now. Like, I don't think you could ask for anything better when it comes to this type of battle. But yeah, what do you think, Ryan?
I think this is great for the sport entirely. Great for the regular season because I mean, NASCAR regular season isn't looked like. I mean, it's looked fair upon, but everyone likes the playoffs better. That's because it's clear because it's more intensity, high intensity. Everyone likes playoffs better, and I think with the regular season championship being so close, I think we could start to see some teams start take risks at maybe like not play tracks but road courses in staying out to get this precious stage points and the precious playoff point over taking a different strategy and heading towards like winning the race, especially at road courses like with we've seen at the Glen with the stage racing especially. And then um for I guess for plate tracks you could also see the same, maybe people short pitting going people short pitting for the win and then others staying out again for stage points and precious playoff points that are on the table. especially when we get closer and closer to the start of the playoffs.
And with that said, were we saying something, David?
No, well, I was just looking at points, but everyone just said what I was going to say. I was looking, I laughed a little because I saw, I was looking for Ross Chastain. I see Chase Briscoe up ahead with negative 103 points.
It's odd, yeah. Yeah, I found it
I,
funny.
I will say something though. Not Chastain. Stenhouse is beating the defending champion in points. I'm just saying. Stenhouse is having an actual good season.
I feel like that the Stenhouse's team is doing a lot better. Same with how it happened with Michael McDowell, because the Daytona 500 purse is so big and the winner gets so much money. I believe they used some of that money to upgrade the team, like FRM did in 2020, and it looks like it made JTG an overall better team, I guess. And it looks like it makes Ricky Stenhouse. I mean, Ricky Stenhouse, I feel like at Vegas in the playoffs when it comes, he could possibly steal a top 10 or so, maybe even lock himself back into the round of 12. Because I feel like if they can get that JTG car good enough for the playoffs, I think that car is going to be very dangerous to maybe knock out one of the more surprising guys of the round of 16.
I just noticed this. How is Daniel Suarez 18th in points, bro, when his teammates leading the thing? Like, seriously? What is going on?
He's just having one of them off years. I mean, I wouldn't say it's still early, but he still has time to rebound and grab a win and lock himself into the playoffs. But that's just another thing. I feel like if you're not good enough to win a race, you're gonna have to point your way in and battle with the people at the bottom at the bottom of the bin, and like 15th or 16th and 17th and 18th. It's gonna be an all out battle. Like it's gonna be an all-out battle come Michigan and like Daytona, especially because those are more of not plate tracks, but like more high speed draft tracks.
And with that said, I want to quickly go over the news with National Fairgrounds. It's looking more and more likely the National will return on the schedule. But now the new worry is with the soccer club, and they're worried that they don't have enough fans to split it among the two. So National Fairgrounds is hitting wall after wall, and I just hope something can get to action because I would love to see National Fairgrounds on the schedule. But I'm going to end it off with that. And with that said, let's start with arguably the most boring race of the weekend, Monaco. Ryan, you want to start us off?
Sure, I'll start you off. Max Verstappen wins again. Shocker there, right? Alonso finishes P2. Jeffrey is surprised that Verstappen won again. Checo started in the rear. I mean, it's Monaco. You couldn't really pass. He made passes, not enough. The championship
Finished like
lead
17th.
grows. He made some passes, still Monaco. Um, he's in a Red Bull, but it was still Monaco, so I kind of get his pain. I feel like Checo's going to have to start winning some races here. Start stealing some points from Verstappen, or this championship might be said and done. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I think if Checo starts being 2022 Checo again, Verstappen is going to clear this championship earlier than he did last year.
I have to agree. I just want to have a good championship battle, and this is like Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes when they were dominant 2018, 19, and 20. It was just kind of one sided, and we saw those one off events where we want to get a Mercedes win, or when Mercedes was doing good, we want to get a Ferrari win at a track that really required a good engine, and the high speeds, which is what Ferrari had back then. So I think I hope Aston Martin can get better. We're gonna see a battle for second if Lance Stroll doesn't, get his things together. So you never know. But with that said, I think we're in for another long season, but until the 2026 engine regulations, I don't see a change. I think we're going to see Red Bull and at least Max Verstappen have at least 5 championships before 2020. Well, is my math wrong? No, that's right. I think we're going to have, again, Max Verstappen have 5 championships until we get to the engine regulations.
I agree. No, I do
Yeah.
agree with that statement. I think Adrian Newey is the best at making race cars go fast. And as long as Red Bull has Adrian Newey, I don't see anything changing anytime soon, to be honest. I think Verstappen has the title in the bag as long as Red Bull doesn't sign a competent, or well, not competent, but like
Incompetence.
a more competent driver, a more got like a Lewis Hamilton type driver that can go up and challenge with Max day in day out. But no, yeah, I think Matt, as long as Max just keeps winning, keeps doing what he's been doing since the drop of the green flag in Bahrain, I mean, this is his championship to lose, and I don't see him losing it anytime soon.
I just want to say a little bit of shout out to Esteban Ocon. He got third in that race, and he was pretty happy about that. And the podium thing, that was kind of nice to watch. Cool to see someone else, getting there on the podium. She had ain't the top step, but it's cool to see someone else being there rather than the same like 3 or 4 people we're used to seeing.
Yeah, it's finally good to see like I mean 2 years ago or 1 or 2 years ago we had Lando Norris on the podium for McLaren. Now we have an Aston Martin on the podium too. I mean that's great to see at Monaco. Fernando Alonso at Monaco, that brings joy to my ears and eyes. But Esteban Ocon played it perfect. I mean well, he didn't really have to pass much. Just really had to hold position. And it was really just like Max Verstappen 20 years up the road, and then Fernando Alonso another 20 years up the road, and then Esteban Ocon and friends, right? So it was really a fight for P3 the whole time, if that. But the one decent thing about Monaco is when the rain came, it didn't disappoint. We saw Lance Stroll lose all brain cell and just do what everyone wants to do at Monaco, wall ride the hairpin. It didn't really work, but he tried. But I mean,
Yeah.
and then Sainz having that spin. I think it was Sainz, maybe Leclerc. I'm not sure. It was one of the Ferraris had that spin in where Rosberg did the Rosberg. But yeah, I think Monaco this year especially, it was a lot better than last year. Same winner, same winner. I'm disappointed with the winner, but hey, we got more passing than there was last year, and we had a bit of rain to help us, get a little more excitement.
Yeah, you just said exactly what was said. I mean, I just hope it gets better. It
If it
isn't
doesn't,
good.
it's whatever.
I mean, if it doesn't, it's whatever. I mean, it's not going to be a huge barn burner race like the Indy 500 or the Coke 600. It's just there. It's there mainly because of tradition, and it's cool if it provides a really good race. I mean, yeah, you said it perfectly.
I don't mind Monaco on the schedule. I mean, I don't like racing
I
at
don't think it
Monaco,
should be on the
but
schedule.
I think having Monaco on the schedule is correct because of
not.
how historic it is.
Doesn't matter.
But if the need for change were to come, Monaco will forever be on the top of the list of tracks to get shafted because it's just not a fun passing track. It never, well, it was when it was, the 60s, but
Yeah, and those
now with
cars would be like
these,
drifting
now
around
the,
and
now
That's the
the,
stuff.
thing, though.
now
That's
the problem is these cars are too big and they take up too much of the track. That's why you can't pass at Monaco. Monaco's
that's
too
the
small.
thing, Ryan.
Mhm.
Formula E this year raced at Monaco,
Mm.
and they had as many passes in their race as Monaco has had in the last 60 years combined.
My mic's working now. Okay, sorry. I didn't realize my mic wasn't working the whole time.
But like
Whoopsies.
the point is that Formula E can make it work. Why? They made their cars smaller. Like,
Yeah.
in my opinion, that's all you got to do. Make the
Well,
cars
yeah.
smaller,
Mhm.
and the racing will improve. It's that simple.
I
I
mean,
just
it
think
should
take it off the
improve,
schedule.
but I mean, if if things don't change, yeah, take it off the schedule, but you're not going to. If you're the FIA, you're not going to take that race
Mm,
off the schedule
I didn't
because
think. Well, no, I said it
no,
last night.
because historically, that just doesn't look good.
Did.
I see what you mean. It's I see. I think it's the equivalent like in of taking Daytona or Darlington off the schedule for if we compare this to like or Indy. That's just my take on it. But the last thing I do want to touch on, the story I think of the weekend is you know Alpine and Esteban Ocon getting a podium. Your guys' thoughts on that?
I said it earlier. It's great. I love seeing the Alpine on the podium. I wish it was Pierre Gasly, don't get me wrong, but
Hmm.
seeing the Alpine on the podium at Monaco, even though it was Monaco, it still brings me joy just to know that instead of having two Red Bulls on the podium, we had one, an Aston Martin, and probably a mid, not a mid pack team, but like a car that doesn't have a good engine finishes third in a race where yeah, you don't need engine, but you do need the driving and capabilities. It shows Esteban Ocon as a driver has grown. It's shown Alpine as a team from switching from Renault that they haven't taken any breaks. They've gotten ultimately better. I think Alpine themselves should be happy with this result at Monaco. They should keep pushing forward. It's because I feel like Alpine could be the Aston Martin next year if they can just get everything right and maybe get their engine a little quicker. Top three because he was on the pole. They
Yeah,
showed
although,
quali pace, right?
yeah,
Ocon
they,
was chugging for pole until Alonso, of course, came and took it away, but then Verstappen.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ocon did get
I should
third,
talk about
but
that now. Alpine showed pace in qualifying.
All right, all right, all right, all right.
yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because I thought we were just gonna gloss over that. I mean,
Yeah, I
that
know.
was
Yeah,
cool.
you just pick it. You pick it up.
Okay. Well, I think Alpine could be the Aston Martin that we saw this year. Definitely, they have the driver lineup. They have Esteban Ocon, who's won an F1 race. They have Pierre Gasly, who's also won an F1 race. In not in top tier equipment, of course. But they have the drivers, they have the facilities, they have everything. They just need a better. I guess they just need a better engine. That's all. I feel like the Arrow, especially because Esteban qualified on the podium for qualifying or close to it for qualifying. That means they have the Arrow to attack the turns correctly at Monaco. They just don't have maybe the top end speed that you need going up the hill and through the tunnel and down the mini straightaway with DRS. I guess, but I mean that could also mean another thing: get the DRS delta up. It's just there's multiple ways you can go about attacking the next season for Alpine, and it's just like if they can keep this arrow the way it is, because this arrow looks like it's very good the way it is. If they could just get a little bit better of an engine, maybe a little bit more DRS delta, I think not. I don't think they'll be competing with Red Bull because Red Bull will just make their car better, but I think they can possibly fight Ferrari and Mercedes on a weekly basis.
I agree that they have the potential to become a top three team next year. They've been just slowly like gaining up the leaderboards. I mean, the past few years we've seen Alpine slash Renault just slowly get accomplished more and more. And I used to make the joke that they were consistently mid. They were always fourth to sixth in the constructors. And yeah, that's funny and all until you realize that every time that they get fourth or fifth, they're closer and closer to third. They keep just slowly gaining points on third, and I feel like that's gonna pay off soon in the next 2 to 3 years. They'll win another race or just get consistent podiums, something like that. But soon it's gonna pay off.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think Alpine, the future's bright. The future is definitely bright for that team. Um, I just hope they don't make any mistakes and then short their way from the front of the grid to right back to the rear. They just gotta, keep working on the car, keep making the car better. Really no days off for the guys back at the Alpine shop, but I don't know. I think the Alpine could be fighting with Red Bulls at the engine regulation change, but that's still 3.5 years away. So we'll be waiting for that one. But time will only tell what Alpine can do with their car. But Max Verstappen's win the championship this year.
It's looking more and more like that. And the last thing I wanted to touch on.
Jeffrey, your mic is.
Sound like you're in a fishbowl there, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't know
my
we were
bad.
watching an episode of Tanked here.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the next thing I think we should go over and kind of touch on really quickly before we move to IndyCar is, well, one driver who will perhaps never lose his seat. I know Ryan touched on it. Lance Stroll. If you if you're
You're an Aston Martin fan?
yeah. If you're Aston Martin, what kind of would you do in their shoes? Because I know
You can't get rid of them.
Well,
What are you gonna do? Get rid of them and lose all your money? That's what you're gonna
do
do.
you think they can still win a championship with Lance Stroll?
I mean, yeah, that's a tough question. I see it. I mean, I see it. It's just that like the car, as of what I've seen from Lance Stroll these past years, from his short time at Williams, his time at Racing Point, which later turned into Aston Martin. No, I don't think they'll win a championship with him. I think they can win a championship with whoever is in the second car. That's not him, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, if they have a 2020 Mercedes, sure, anyone can win in a 2020 Mercedes.
Yeah.
But if it's like now and it's like if the field by the 2026 regs, or if you're talking about sooner, if the field's more compact, I don't think Lance Stroll has what it takes to be a F1 drivers world champion. Now, do I think does he have what it takes to become a constructors championship and be a good team player? Sure. He can be a team player, racking up podiums, getting points and stuff like that, winning races, but not winning a championship and winning constructors. I believe he could do that, but winning a drivers championship, especially from what I've seen from him, no, I don't see it. I don't see how you can sit down and tell me straight to my face, Lance Stroll can beat Max Verstappen for a championship. I just don't see it.
I don't see how you can have your teammate finish on the podium week in, week out, and you're struggling to get points. I don't see how that can be seen as a half decent driver.
Yeah. No, I agree.
He's making, like, let's say Albon or Kvyat's stint at Red Bull look like it was Lewis Hamilton in the 2010s. It's kind of sad. It's honestly sad.
I agree.
Yeah, I have to agree, and something has to be done. Maybe because I know they've been selling ownership stakes, so I think if maybe the rest of the owners come together and say, we got to do something about Lance Stroll if we want to get better results. But that's currently the only thing I think could be changed to fix this situation. But with that said, let's talk about the Indianapolis 500. Hector, you want to start us off? with the recap of the race. Looks like Hector is having mic issues. So, the Indianapolis 500 was an exciting race for me to watch. I was going to the race, the
We're
600.
watching it at Charlotte, right?
Well, yeah, I was watching at Charlotte at the end of it, and overall, a very exciting race. I kind of wish it started a little bit earlier so I could watch more, but with the rain delay, I could watch all of it. But early it started with a wreck with the 44, which brought out the first caution of the day. But overall, very good racing, and the pack really didn't split apart. We saw mainly three packs, maybe a front 8 to 11 drivers, the mid pack, and then you had like the all throughout the back, like small packs of three, just because of damage that may have occurred. And then going towards the end of it, we saw as we're gonna touch more on it later, Kirkwood's crash that kind of for a second made everyone pause and just think, just kind of scared. Paddle Award over aggressive move, and the one lap
I mean,
shootout.
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I
Well,
mean, he
yeah,
did the same move. He did the same move at Long Beach, and it worked. But he wrecked Scott Dixon for it. So I mean, sometimes you deserved it, and he deserved that. He deserved it.
Sometimes
'Cause
Ericsson
he
doesn't know
did.
how to leave a space.
He didn't fuck. Sorry for my language. I apologize. He didn't leave any room for Scott Dixon in the corner at Long Beach, and it sent him right into the barriers. Why should uh Erickson or whoever that was? I'm sorry, I don't remember. Why
David.
should he give him room when Pato Award doesn't give anyone else room?
Yeah.
It's double standards, but it's whatever, right?
One is going at like, I don't know, 150, 140 in the corner. Others going
I don't
230 in the
care.
corner.
Who
So,
cares? It's Pato Award. No, I'm kidding.
Um,
No, but it's still like something that you still need to worry about.
One thing,
I mean, Pato Award went for the move himself. That's still his fault.
one thing
I
that
mean,
separates it
there
though,
was no
Ryan.
room there. There was no room there.
he said in
Ryan,
his
but you
he
also
said in his
gotta,
interview he literally had to go into the apron because Erickson wasn't given room.
yeah, like he was there. There was enough room. Then Erickson turns down.
why are you? It wasn't Erickson's fault. There was no.
It literally
Erickson
was.
pitched him. Erickson, okay, dude. Also, the difference between that and the Dixon incident is the Dixon incident wasn't
Dixon
going
could
for
have
the
died.
win.
He could have died.
It wasn't going
Why?
for the
No.
It wasn't going for the win of the Indianapolis 500. Dixon wasn't
That
going to
doesn't make
die.
it. That
Yeah, he was
doesn't
gonna
make it
die. He was on the
right.
heart monitor. He was at critical condition from that wreck.
Pato went 200 mph into a barrier. I'm a fan of both
That is
Dixon and
100%
Pato.
Award's fault.
I
100%.
don't like
a
McLaren anymore.
I am a
Only
fan
Rosenquist and Rossi.
of both of them, and I still think that was completely on Erickson.
Pato Award
Why?
is the new
Okay.
Lando Norris. I don't like
He
Lando
dove
anymore.
it in at the last second, and
It's not
what
last
you-
second.
It's not the last second, but it's what
pinched
you
him, But you
do.
still don't make the move. No one else has made a move like
Okay,
that.
so you want him to
since
sit in
Lando.
line and suck on his thumb?
No,
Yeah.
but he did
Just
it at
want
the
nothing to
last
happen?
second. You
Like-
Because
can't do
Newgarden
that.
wins. Either way.
Award got what he had after that.
Well, maybe not.
Erickson shouldn't just. If Erickson gives him all the room in the world after that late move.
No, Erickson, the smart thing to do
Dixon's left
is
and
give
right.
him some room, and if Paddle backs out, then Erickson's clear again. If Paddle doesn't back out, then Erickson backs out. It sits behind him because the thing is, if he sits behind him after backing out, that means that he's gonna lose about half a second to Paddle and then gain it all back immediately. He's not gonna win, probably, but Erickson wasn't gonna win anyway.
Erickson
Paddle
did
was
it for
faster.
caution.
Paddle was faster than Erickson, in my opinion. And Paddle had all the reason to do it, but Erickson had no reason to put him in the grass.
No, that's true. I mean, to be fair, Ericsson's already won an Indy 500, so he has to He should know. He should know. Well, I already won an Indy 500, so I shouldn't be going this hard again, trying to get another
Well,
one. Even though
Well,
he would love to
no.
have another one. He would probably love to have another one.
the thing
But
is,
this
if you
guy, he's
win
got to.
some,
He's still got to think. He's got to. He's got. I feel like I kind of understand what you guys are getting at. Ericsson's got to have more awareness
yeah,
on the track, especially at Indy. I kind of get what you're saying now, because I know Pato Award. I mean, Pato Award's the same thing. Yeah, he needs to have more awareness at Long Beach, but um, at Indy, you can't be making late blocks like that and thinking everything's gonna be fine and dandy, because unfortunately, Pato Award got sent into a fence going about probably 210 into the
and
fence, even
and
though
not only that, but speaking of awareness, can we talk about how
Campino.
Ericsson and well, kind of but Ericsson and Newgarden. All right, actually, I'm gonna rewind a little bit. Back at the first or maybe second practice of the month of May for Indianapolis, Lee Diffie mentioned on the podcast how IndyCar had changed up its pit rules. Last season, you could swerve however low you wanted on the front stretch, and as long as you didn't wreck the car, you're fine. This year, you couldn't pass that dotted white line unless you were gonna pit. If you crossed that, you were forced to pit or you got a penalty, a drive-through. Ericsson and Newgarden both crossed it on the last lap or
So
coming to the
Ferrucci
white
winner.
flag. Don't remember. But for Santino Ferrucci didn't.
W
But guess what?
Santino Ferrucci
Nothing
W.
happened. Nothing happened.
Yeah,
Like I get it, it's the last lap or whatever, but they crossed the white dotted line and then quickly swerved back up, barely avoiding the pit wall. If you hit the pit wall at that speed, you're dead. It's that simple.
nah, he's driving good.
But like I don't know. I think a lot of things went wrong at the end of the Indy 500. The officials needed to
It
open up their
almost,
eyes.
it
Certain
almost,
drivers needed to open up their eyes too.
it almost feel like some F1 fans were calling it like the Abu Dhabi of IndyCar.
I call it more the Australia from earlier this season of Indy.
Yeah, that's true. I see that. Yeah, but in this case, they restarted the race and shafted Ericsson. But no, I mean, IndyCar. We wanted IndyCar to throw a red flag last year for the same type of incident. They didn't, and they learned from their mistakes and threw it this year. I think IndyCar was in the right. Even though it screwed Ericsson out of a win, they wanted the fans to go home happy. Um, seeing a race win, like how Newgarden crossed the line first and everything up on speed and stuff like that. Didn't want to see like the safety car come across the line for the second year in a row. So I get that from an IndyCar standpoint and a fan standpoint. But it's just heartbreak for Marcus Ericsson, because look, after that caution, it looks like he had that thing sealed, and then of course they threw the red. But what can you do?
But
Mhm.
I think besides the one lap shootout, the highlight of the weekend had to be that Kirkwood wreck where the
I wouldn't
Felix
say it's a
Rossi,
good highlight,
well,
but
not a good highlight, but it is still a highlight
yeah, I know.
of Rosenquist spinning, clipping Kirkwood then proceeding to go on his roof, and a tire going above the catch fence luckily missed the crowd by a
Hit a
little
car though.
scare. Hit a car.
Yeah, there's a
But
picture somewhere of
That
people who
car,
were
yeah.
in the crowd. The tire flew roughly 20 feet above the heads of a piece of the grandstand,
mhm,
which is scary. We almost had a Michigan 1998.
Hmm.
So
yeah. Well,
that
more
is
recently,
not something
Charlotte.
you want to see. Yeah,
I wonder.
Charlotte also.
I wonder if the person that owned the car got to keep the tire, because I mean I'm pretty sure that was a
I
Firestone red tire
yeah,
too. So
I think he should have.
that's even more valuable.
Yeah.
But what was your guys' even first reactions?
Um,
Mine,
I
I didn't see the
was
tire at first. I was looking at Kyle Kirkwood, hoping that he's all right.
yeah.
I didn't even see the tire until they showed a replay, and
Yeah.
my dad was saying, "What about the tire? What about the tire?" I'm like, "Huh?" And then I watched it, and yeah.
As soon as I saw Rosenquist tag the wall and then the car start shaking, I knew that he needed to, like, as fast as possible, slow the car down and hook a left, because when the car wiggles like that, we saw it with I think it was Canapino during qualifying or maybe practice, but like he tagged the wall off of turn one, and um entering entering the next corner, the car started wiggling, and the reason was the toe link was bent. And the same thing happened to Rosenquist. When he hit the wall, it broke or bent the toe link, and immediately the car just was losing control.
Yeah.
So as soon as that car shot back up the track sideways, my heart dropped.
Hey
I
Chase, that
thought,
hey Chase, that's a broken toe link. That what
yeah,
Rosenquist's crash, that's a toe link broken.
Yeah.
Yours, I don't know. I'm not
I
sure.
I mean, as soon as he came back up the track, my first thought was, please nobody hit him in the side.
Yeah.
If he gets hit in the side, it's another Hubert incident,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
I don't want that. Plus, the person who hits him might fly into the air into the catch fence, because that's what these Indy cars do. But luckily, he didn't get hit in the side, and luckily, Kirkwood, when that tire flew, it didn't hit anyone. I'm just gonna say this: we got very lucky this weekend that we didn't see a sport ender, to keep it simple,
Mm-hmm.
in that wreck. I mean, the wreck was still brutal. I mean, Kirkwood's visor opened, and
Yeah.
he
Well,
got sparks in his face.
it's meant to know or to tell the official that you're fine, but I don't know why he would just open it while it's still upside down, sparks flying
No,
left,
I don't
right.
think he tried to. I don't
I
think he
think
tried to.
I think the force pushed his visor open.
Yeah,
I think the wind and like I guess like the wind or the air just pulled his visor up from the
Gravity.
crash. To be
Yeah.
honest, I don't think Kyle Kirkwood in those events would ever do
yeah.
something like that because he's smarter than that. He's more experienced than that. Um, but I don't think that was on purpose. I think I don't know. I mean, it's not Kirkwood's fault that the visor open.
Hmm.
I mean, he
Yeah.
got he got caught up in something that was under his own control, not under his own control. It's not his fault. I mean, yeah, he could have went higher in the corner, but he missed the corner and wrecked himself too. Yeah, cool. That's cool. But I mean, no, I Kirkwood was just an innocent bystander. I feel bad for him, his team. They really deserved a good finish. That race, he was doing pretty good, and then got caught up in something late. Um, it sucks, but at least he's not injured. That's the number one thing. Safety. As long as Kyle Kirkwood gets out of that car under his own power, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how he crashed, how it happened, what place he finished, and everything. It just matters that he's still there and still able to live another day. That's all that matters in sports.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, you like to win, but I rather win and still have arms and legs and a life. There's some things you'd give up for, just being alive. And I think Kyle Kirkwood is lucky. Especially IndyCar. IndyCar is lucky that they didn't have an injury, and now that they know that this stuff that they're using, the windscreen stuff and the safety precautions works. I think especially with these cars getting higher speeds every year, I think it's very, very, very good that IndyCar is making sure they're doing everything correct to make sure these drivers don't, you know, have a fatal accident on the track.
And yeah, but Indy 500, the most chaos we've seen all last weekend, but it sure was the most exciting race last weekend. With that said, let's get to our picks. So, all three series are racing for the second week in a row. NASCAR in St. Louis, IndyCar in Detroit, the brand new circuit in Detroit, and F1 in Spain. The Spanish Grand Prix should be 66 laps. Your last pole winner is Charles Leclerc, but Red Bull was able to get the 1-2 last year with Max Verstappen leading the charge. As for F1, Joey Logano won the inaugural Illinois 300 at Gateway. So look, will we see Ford show dominance again for the second week in a row? Well, that's the question everyone has. And as I said before, a brand new Detroit GP for IndyCar. The last winner in Detroit was, if I'm not mistaken, it was Will Power. If I'm not wrong.
I am not sure, honestly.
Well, it was Will Power. And I try to, or sorry, I was Will Power. Is 100 laps, so it's going to be a long race. But it reminds me of Azerbaijan in a way. There's 90 degrees. There's a lot of 90-degree corners. I think there's one corner that's not 90 degrees, and that's it. So we'll see how the racing goes. But with that said, let's begin our picks. So with a brand new guest, that means Ryan will get first pick for every single series. So let's start off with F1. So Ryan goes first. Then it will be Hector, me, and then David. So Ryan, who is your pick? I know it's going to be a very tough
It's
one for
not.
you this week.
No,
Lance Stroll.
it's not Max Verstappen.
What? Don't give
I
Hector the win.
believe it's gonna be Fernando Alonso. He's gonna bring it home in
No,
his
you
home
gave him
race.
the win.
It's gonna be Fernando Alonso.
No, Dad.
Yes, Fernando Alonso is gonna
Interesting.
win the Spanish Grand Prix.
That's
So
very interesting.
wait, so to get this right, David won last week, right?
Yes.
All right. And Ryan, you believe it's gonna be Fernando Alonso.
Yes, sir, baby, with all my heart.
Well, I believe your heart is wrong.
Yeah, I know.
I think Max Verstappen is gonna win.
Unfortunately,
I'm
but
going safe. I need points.
you need points. I'm a guest. That's why I went risky.
You know what? That's fair.
Man, you could have made us all go risky.
Well,
Yeah, it's true.
My turn, and you know what? My top two, well, they both got taken away. So I'm gonna go bold, guys. I don't. While Sergio
You
Perez
say
could
Logan
win,
Sargent.
no,
Lance
it's not
Stroll.
America.
crazy. The person I picked is not racing this weekend, sadly. So no Maldonado for me. But I'm gonna go a little bit bold. I think he could carry the momentum, and I'm gonna go with Esteban Ocon.
Dang.
We'll see how Alpine
Okay.
does. He got his first podium. Could he carry that momentum into next week? We could see troubles, and if we do see troubles, well, it's gonna be between Ferrari, Mercedes, and Alpine. And Alpine's, both cars inside the top 10 last week. So that's my pick.
You know what? So I think I might go even bolder, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, it'll be bold. I'm not
Alexander
sure
Albon.
Yeah, right. I'm thinking Carlos Sainz might actually be able to pull something off here.
Nice. So all different teams for us.
That's
Yeah.
bold.
That's bold.
Me and David are on the same
What do you mean?
spectrum.
What do you mean same spectrum? You didn't even go bold.
Yeah, me and him are on the same spectrum. We went with the home drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But so Ryan will go again for IndyCar, David, then me, then Hector. So Ryan, start us off again. Who do you think's gonna win at the new Detroit circuit? So we don't really know.
I
previous.
don't. Yeah, there's not really a previous. I know it's a road course, so that shouldn't really damper things much for IndyCar. I guess I'll go with I don't know. I mean, Landon likes him, so Will Power. Let's go with Will Power.
Okay.
Will Power's winning this weekend. He's gonna go back to back in Detroit.
Yeah,
David, your turn.
I'm thinking coming off an Indy 500 win, I think Joseph Newgarden could get it done here. Because I looked in a couple previous Bell Out races, he won them. So I'm thinking Joseph Newgarden gets this win here.
Nice. My turn. So this is a very just straights, left, right, and center. You guys went back-to-back Penske. Interesting pick. Now, my first initial thought, pick Roman Grosjean. He's carried momentum at road courses, but my only worry is that can Grosjean finish the race? With that said, this driver showed a lot of speed last week, and I think it's a driver not a lot of people are looking at. I'm going to go Ferrucci. I think it might not be the best pick, but with just how the layout is, I think straightaway speed's going to matter, and I think the AJ Fort can't pass that. So, Santino Ferrucci is my pick.
See, look, I'm just confused. How do we go bold for F1 and then we go Penske back to back?
What do you mean?
Hey man,
What do you
Penske's pretty
mean?
good.
Like,
Just luck, I guess.
I went bold.
but
What are you on about?
no, I know. No, you didn't go bold. You went stupid.
I'm gonna be real with
Wow.
you.
Oh yeah,
I don't.
wrong. See him roll up on the podium.
Ferrucci's an oval guy. If you picked him for any oval, I would pat you on the back and say thank you. But it's a road course.
You
I
guys
mean,
could
I
go
don't know.
wrong. I feel like this is gonna be another national scenario, and
I mean, I'm gonna go with the person who I picked last week because I keep banking on this guy. Something keeps telling me that
he
he's gonna,
keeps pulling through.
yeah, he's gonna blow through, and that he's gonna constantly run up front. I mean, last week he started on pole, and then things were wrong. He got wrecked in the
on
pits.
That
He
would
got
be
wrecked in the
puns.
pits, and he still pulowed through and got a top 5. I think Alexander Palou will win this weekend.
Nah, I don't think so. Him having those things with McLaren killed it for me.
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. But with that said, well, you already know who's going first again. So
Yes, sir,
Ryan,
baby.
for Indy or for NASCAR, sorry, at St. Louis. Who's your pick?
That's actually a tough one. Gateway won last year, Logano, right?
Yep, Logano.
Well, we're not going Logano this week.
Okay. Well, Penske just
that's-
won, so go back to that team. Then.
No. We're gonna go. Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin's gonna win at Gateway.
Sure.
Okay, Denny
Sure.
Hamlin for Ryan. David, what about you?
For me,
Mhm.
I'm gonna go William Byron, man.
That's a good one.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go Truex.
Okay.
That was quick.
I like that.
So,
I like it.
Hector, where are you going?
I'll be honest, Ryan. You stole my pick. I actually thought Denny was gonna win. So
My bad.
man, I don't know now. No, you're good.
Take
But
the
I don't
red
know.
card.
You know what? Run that back. Can I switch? Hector
What?
hasn't gone yet.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Switch.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm gonna go Corey LaJoy.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
just typed
pick.
that in our chat.
There you go.
See, me personally, I wasn't gonna take Truex anyway. Like, I don't know. I keep thinking that this weekend we're gonna have a new winner or like I don't know if this guy's a new winner, but I mean, I think we're gonna have an interesting winner. I think Kevin Harvick is gonna pull off the win this weekend.
Yeah.
And surprise
I
a
see
lot
it.
of people. I think old man Harvick still has it.
I don't know. I don't think Stuart Haas can be very good this week.
Oh, I doubt it, but Kevin Harvick will.
It's Kevin Harvick. Yeah, you're right.
But with that said, that's our pick. That's our podcast for this week. Thank you for watching. Make sure to tune in next week when we recap this weekend in racing. And see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Woo!